It is my hope that you are doing well. Welcome to this video where we are going to talk about repeat signs. And a repeat sign, it is a sign placed in a musical piece to show that a section is to be repeated. We have several representations of repeat signs. And number one, we have dotted bar line. Let's say, for example, we have a musical piece, like for example, the one shown on the screen. And we are saying that the first category representation of repeat sign, we have a dotted bar line. So, while reading this piece of music, and it happens we come across a dotted bar line like the one shown on the screen, we can see that the representation is a double bar line, and the double bar line has two dots, and the two dots are enclosing line 3 at the left of the double bar line. So this sign will mean that we will have to go back in our previous section from this point where we have this repeat sign to the point where we will meet another dotted double bar line like this one, but the dots will be at the right of the lines, and that point is the one shown on the screen. You can see that these double bar lines has the dots at the right. So from this section, which is in page 2 as shown on the screen, up to this point in page 3, it means we shall repeat. And the number of the repetitions is indicated by a sign called ending. For example, in this our page 3, we can see that at this point where we have the closing repeat bars, we have a line above here, and that line is indicated with a number. This is the line which we are referring to as an ending, and an ending is defined by this number over here. So for example, this will be the first ending, will be called the first ending because we have number 1 here, so we shall call it first ending. And that one means that I shall sing the previous section from this point, the first round until here. Then after repeating the second time, I will not sing this bar. Instead, I will jump to the second ending over here and sing this bar. So singing the repeat section from this point, the soprano part, we shall have something like, and I believe by now we are of translating the notes. And we said number 1 is to know the key of the song. For example, my song over here, my musical piece over here is in key E. Remember the order of the major scales with the sharps. If not, kindly revisit. The other thing to know is about the rhythm, and the rhythm is represented by the time signature. The time signature in our example is 2/4. 2/4, 2 crochets per bar. So singing our piece, I will use the soprano part, that is staff number 1, and I give you an assignment to translate the notes in the soprano part, the repeat section, and also confirm the rhythm. For now, I will not translate. I will use the second method of reading notes, which is called sight reading. We shall revisit that later. So, by looking, let me identify this staff as staff 1 and this staff as staff 2. And the staff having the first ending as staff 3. You can observe that the words just before the repeat sign are yako bwana, yako kama. Then from kama, I move straight to Mariamu. So for my sentence to make sense, I will have to say kama Mariamu. And that is why I will start with these notes over here, because they are outside the repeat sign. But we have just observed that for my sentence to make sense while repeating, I will have to say kama Mariamu. So it means while beginning to sing my piece, I will begin with kama Mariamu. Yeah. So my rhythm is 2/4, and sight reading the tune will be something like so fa 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 so fa 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 so fa mi re mi fa so la di di so la di di la so fa la so do so fa mi so la di la so fa mi so fa mi re so la so fa mi re so fa mi so. So from this point is so la di la so fa mi so fa mi re so la so fa mi re so fa mi so. That is yeah. So. So the first round I will sing up to this point, because at this point we have the first ending. The next turn, upon reaching this point, I will cross jump this section and move directly from this point to this bar, because at this bar we have the second ending. So we shall have something like from this point so la di la so fa mi so fa mi re so la so fa so mi re so fa mi so fi la so fa mi. So we shall have from this point until this point so fa mi re so fa mi. Dotted bar line can be anywhere. in a musical piece. For example, in our example, it was somewhere in the middle pages. They can also be towards the ending, towards the beginning. For example, in this Gloria, as shown on the screen, we have the closing repeat sign over here. But observing the piece, we don't have an opening repeat sign. So this one means we simply go to the starting point of the musical piece. So singing, for example, the soprano part and repeating from this point, we shall have something like, for example, take for example from this bar. So fa mi re do ti la ti do mi do re ti do. I have simply repeated from the beginning of the piece. Now, what happens when we want to repeat from the beginning but end the music just before we reach the repeat sign again? We have representation number 2 of a repeat sign, and that is the use of da capo, abbreviated as DC, as shown on the screen. Let us say, for example, we have a musical piece as shown on the screen. It is Carmine Consola, Kawakwa Mukiakisia, written in French. We can observe clearly that the chorus part shown on the screen has some words, that is fine, and at the stanzas we have DC at this point. What it means, DC always comes before fine, and that is why it is called DC Alpine sometimes. And what it means by DC Alpine, it means that we sing our musical piece right from the beginning up to the point where we have the words DC. And that means that we shall sing our chorus once and move straight to the stanzas. That is in this example, because in the stanzas part is where we find our word DC. After singing the stanza and coming across the word DC, we will move again straight to the beginning of our piece, and that is the beginning of our chorus. And we shall stop singing our piece at the point where we have fine. So DC means we begin the music right to the beginning and end at the point where we have fine. So da capo means we go back to the beginning of the piece and end at fine. The next representation of repeat sign is the del signo, and it is abbreviated as DS, as shown on the screen. Let us say, for example, we have a musical piece as shown on the screen, and I want to repeat a large section, like let's say for example 3 pages. I want to repeat 3 pages, and I want to do it from this bar where I have Nijenga. Bearing in mind that I want to repeat 3 pages, I will mark the point where the repetition begins with a sign, and that sign will be the single sign. I don't know whether it is the correct drawing, but that's the single sign. And after 3 pages, I have my DS. DS always comes before the sign. So it means that I will sing my musical piece right from the beginning as usual, and that is do mi so mi fa mi re do ti so mi do fa re so mi fa re do mi so mi fa mi re do ti so mi do fa re so mi fa re do. At this point, I will observe that I have the signal point, the signal sign. So that one means from this point where I have this sign to the point where I will find the DS, it will be a repeat section, and that one will be to this point. We can also include the endings and say that the first will sing up to this bar, then at the second time will not sing this bar, but instead we will sing the second ending, which is over here. Then continue with the rest piece of music. That is all about repeat signs. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.